Brian Terrian here from the Disability Digest, and it's my pleasure to have Mike Sanders with me here today from NTI. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
I think my audience here at the Disability Digest is going to be excited to hear from you because you folks at the National Telecommuting Institute are putting people back to work.
We are.
Yeah, and you've got a lot going on. You were recently in the New York Times, right?
Yes.
So we are excited to hear from you about how you may be able to help people transition into full-time or part-time and supplement their disability.
Absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely.
So first of all, for those of you that don't know Mike, it sounds like you've been like around the Boston area for quite some time. Is that right?
Yeah, quite a few years.
Yeah. Good for you. And I was just checking out some of the work that you've done. You spent a lot of time putting people back to work, just regular civilians, but also veterans.
That's correct.
Too, which is very cool.
Yes.
And looking at the stuff that you've done, it looks like you've learned from different areas, kind of a lifelong learner. And you've got a master's degree from Springfield College, and you went to Stonehill. I know right where that is, so good for you.
Nice. You did your homework on me.
Well, yeah. Good. So listen, let's get into it. What can you tell us about NTI? Is it okay if I refer to it as NTI, Mike?
Yeah, or NTI at home.
NTI at home, okay.
Yeah.
NTI at home. You know, what can you tell us about it? How did you get involved? I know you've done other cool things before this, so let's start there.
Yeah, I was working for Canon as their director of training for Canon North America. And I wanted to do a little bit more in life that impacted people. That was something that has always been dear to my heart for my whole entire career. And I got a chance to interview with NTI for their head of e-learning position over here to set that up. And I've done, I came in maybe about 9 years ago. And I have done everything in terms of business development, recruiting, marketing, running the contact center. I was in marketing, and now they just transitioned me over into my latest challenge, which is head of partnership programs for NTI. So I get to do a lot more fun things. I think this is going to be exciting, but I'm able to take my experience from what I learned in each one of those positions and move it on forward to help out more people, which is great.
Right.
And
sorry to interrupt, but I mean, my own commercial here, it's, you know, we have a platform where we can put some people back to work, but I know that, you know, your ability, and we're going to hear more about that later in the program, about putting like a lot of people back to work is great. So I'm excited to partner with you. That's where I'm going with this.
Well, thank you.
So please continue.
So for those who aren't familiar with NTI at home, we help individuals with disabilities gain legitimate work from home jobs throughout the whole entire United States. So we are an employment network who partnered up with the Social Security Administration in their Ticket to Work program. But the group of people who work for us, they wanted to expand the mission even more to help out all individuals with disabilities. So we're always in a constant state of change and continuous improvement in NTI. And the management team worked really hard over the past year and a half to transition our organization. And as of April 14th of this year, we open it up to all individuals with disabilities across the United States. So we moved from helping out the ability to help out 6 million people to now 63 million people. So that's 1 in every 4 Americans.
And the 63 million, what does that represent? That 63 million people have what in common?
Disability. So we transitioned from the definition of disability from the Social Security's definition into the CDC's definition of disability, where it
Okay.
focuses more on limitations on
Yep.
physical abilities and invisible
Mm-hmm.
disabilities. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a broader range out there.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to
Okay.
address that. Over the years, people have come to us and said, I have a disability, but I'm not on disability insurance. And it gave them a chance to come to us and, um, they're now able to work through us, which is great. And then on top of that, there was also another demand that was out there, or a request. Family caregivers who were taking care of individuals with disabilities. In
Mm-hmm.
certain states, they don't have appropriate funding for them, and they're just looking for some work to subsidize their lives. So they kept on coming to us, especially over the course of the last year, looking to see if they could work, have a work at home job. So we open up our mission for family caregivers who are taking care of individuals with disabilities. We want to be able to support them. And that's a pilot
Okay.
program, but it gives a
Yep.
really broad range.
Yep.
And it came at the right time, too, because now with the pandemic that's happened out there, we have been getting requests for us to work with new employment partners, opening up a wide variety of new jobs that are out there. And it gives a lot to, in terms of a platform for individuals with disabilities, but it gives us a chance to really fulfill our mission.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I can totally see where what you have done is now becoming more acceptable
Mm-hmm.
in the mainstream because it's a necessity, right? I just got off the phone with GoDaddy, and I mean they're huge, and they've remoted everybody at home, and they likely will leave them there because it's working.
Yes.
So very cool. The one thing that I want to ask you is just kind of bring up um, in your transition from being a ticket taker, ticket to work, to opening up the platform,
Mm-hmm.
is one of the challenges that we've had here in helping people is 28% of the people that come to us, Mike, looking for disability income simply haven't worked enough over the last 10 years. So um, they're not able to pursue their disability. They wouldn't qualify for a ticket work to work program, would
Mm-hmm.
they?
Qualify.
Because they would, even though they're not on a Social Security disability.
That's correct. So they don't need to
Okay.
be on SSI or SSDI. They
Okay, great.
just
I
need
learned
to.
something.
Yeah, yeah.
All
So
right.
I believe that we're the only organization that's doing that out there,
Mm-hmm.
for helping the whole gamut. So
Okay. Okay. I
it's a
just want
really
to
good thing.
clarify. Sorry to interrupt. I want to clarify my point.
Mhm.
My point is, if somebody was not on Social Security disability, could they still get a ticket to work? I understand they can work
Oh,
for you.
oh, okay. Well, if you're on SSI or SSDI, you probably have a ticket to work,
Okay.
and you just need to call up Social Security Administration's office and be able to rectify
Right.
that out there.
Right.
So if they go to the ticket to work website, there's that kind of information that's out there for them,
Okay.
as well as a really good resource out there. Not a lot of people know about it, but it's called, if you Google it, you could find a resource called the Red Book. And if you look up Ticket to Work in the words Red Book, you should be able to find it pretty easily.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
good guidance.
Good. Good. That was for my own FAQ that I have there. So another question about those in our audience here that we're serving is, um, you know the question about having a fair shot at getting a job and getting into a job and allowing their performance to, dictate their stability and ability to stay. What can you speak to the equality piece and working and pursuing employment through NTI at home?
It's great. We have a lot of people who come to us looking for those types of employment because they have a gap in their resume 4 to 5 years before
Yeah.
they could come back, manage their disability, and come back into the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
We partner up with organizations who understand disability and understand the needs of individuals with disabilities. So that way they can work with them more appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
So we end up working with these employer partners to ensure that there's equal pay, that if a position that's offered on the outside for anyone out there has the same pay as someone who's going through NTI to do this.
Oh, okay. That's another great point. I didn't think of the compensation piece, but so that's an issue out there.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
from an interview piece, they already know that the person has a disability. So during the interview, they're going to
Mm-hmm.
focus on the knowledge, skills, and abilities of that person.
Yeah.
And they're not going to ask questions about why do you have a 5 year gap in your resume,
Mm-hmm.
or even remotely ask you a question on disability
Mm-hmm.
because they already know. So
Yeah.
we never ask, even at NTI, we never ask what the disability is. If they self-disclose, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But we never document that or get that kind of information because it's privacy concern. But
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I am in a similar situation in working in this workspace, and I don't ask the question, but what I do ask is why. I do ask why is it that they're not able to work a full-time job? So you understand some of the concerns and limitations, the sit-stand issues, or maybe it's cognitive, so that you can make efforts to accommodate, or maybe they don't get up till 11 in the morning because they don't sleep well at night, that type of
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
So, okay, good.
yeah. So just
Um,
to play off of that, we our jobs vary out there. So we have part-time, full-time jobs. They could be in the day, the evening, the night, and they vary in time spans. So I would say 95% of the people who come to us, they are looking for part-time work. And
mhm,
a lot of people who are on SSI or SSDI don't understand um, the full gamut of the Ticket to Work program, and that they have a 9 month trial work period, that they could call up Social Security Administration, get a little bit more information on that trial work period, so that way they could find out whether or not work is the right thing for them. So they may have a financial need out there, they're pushing themselves, they try to do it, and because of their disability, they may not be able to do it for 35 hours a week. They may be able to do it for 15 hours a week. Well, we can make accommodations with that.
So, Mike, if somebody is looking at 15 hours a week, that's 60 hours a month, do they need a ticket, or can they do that if their earnings are below the SGA level? Can they just
Yep.
straight up go in and go to work? Or do
Well,
you
as
ask that they have a ticket?
if they have a disability, they could come to us and we would let them participate in the program.
Okay.
As for us as an employment network, we have to advocate on trying to get people back to work again
Hmm.
and try to guide them through that whole entire process.
Okay. Okay. So point is, there's a lot of flexibility I'm learning here from 15 hours a week and up, which is part-time.
Mhm.
There's different opportunities during the time of day. So if you're, back to your example, an at-home caregiver, and you have a block of time from 6 to 9 at night, then
Hmm.
perhaps you could leverage that.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, yeah, I wanted to ask you this. With the recent crisis that's gone on, I mean, other than what we talked about at the top of the program, what other impact has this had on you guys? I mean, good, bad?
It, yeah, it's been, I mean, for us, it's been really good. So we had, at the start of the pandemic, we were prepared for work at home. Internally on our office, we were able to shut down operations and have everybody working from home within a 4 hour period. We've been doing it
Wow.
for 25 years. But that 4 hour period, what it involved, people just gathering things at their desk,
Mm-hmm.
cleaning out the fridge, and making sure that the plants were taken care of, like this guy right there. So that was it. There was nothing else. We were already set up. Everybody had a laptop or they were working from home. Our core employees, they were already set up. Um, but we also presented at a couple of different conferences that had to do with remote work prior to this. So a lot of companies, they ended up onshoring again. There was some organizations out there who offshored to India, in other places across the world, and they did not have the infrastructure to work at home. So once those individuals left their their call center at home, they basically had their cell phones to connect their laptops to. And clients are not going to use that level of service. And for privacy issues, they don't want that. So they're
Mm-hmm.
onshoring again. And
Mm-hmm.
it's our time to do really well with this, not just from an NTI at home perspective, but for all individuals with disabilities, because these companies are coming to us looking for the people that we serve to come and fill these roles. So we have gone up tremendously with clients and client calls. We're up to the point where we are turning away people because we can't handle the capacity
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to do it. But it also gives a really wide variety of different positions that are out there for people. So that's a really good thing. Um, and plus, our people are prepared for it too. So they already have the knowledge, skills, and abilities and work at home setup to be successful. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a really positive thing.
Okay, so before I have some questions that I want to get into about like the types of jobs and the tasks and the companies and you know, I mean, whatever you can reveal that you're allowed to reveal, of course, would be helpful. So that's kind of first part of it, and then you know, once you can help our audience understand that, like maybe what are some of the requirements that they would need to have to be able to work from home?
Sure, absolutely.
What can you tell us about that, Mike?
I could give you a little bit of a visualization of what they
Okay.
go through on a day-to-day basis. So we have a real variety of jobs available out there and levels of importance. Um, for example, on our government tax project, individuals, they help out and provide guidance to American taxpayers who need to resolve problems out there. Um, and they have to deliver a high degree of satisfaction, customer satisfaction, and answer their questions and be able to guide them to the right place.
Mm-hmm.
So that way they could be safe. In another
Okay.
position, if you're stranded on the side of the road and call up, need assistance, you're probably talking to an NTI at home associate, and they're going to be able to get you.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, they're going to be able to get you the help that you need, so that way you can resolve your problem and be safe, have peace of mind, and then go on your way, which is good.
So these would be inbound calls in these two examples?
Yeah, yeah, they're typically inbound calls.
Okay.
For,
Okay.
mhm.
Nice. Uh,
um,
great.
and
Great.
then Just to show you the gauging of these and the importance of it, in another position that we have with a recent client, they're a global pharmaceutical company, and people are calling in, and NTI employees are answering questions that doctors have and patients have about these new medical products and pharmaceuticals that are introduced to the public.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a really wide range of what we have in terms of Fortune 500, startup companies, and government agencies. So,
So I'm just thinking if somebody is out there, like I don't. Let's go back to the to working for the IRS related issues, tax related
sure,
issues.
absolutely.
What's the degree of complexity? Because from my perspective,
Mhm.
um, what I know about the tax system is there's a lot involved. So if you're right, I just don't. I mean, what do you have to know? Is it a lot? It's a learning curve?
So there is a learning curve, and what we do is we provide training at NTI. So we start off with a 3 day. It's all free. I didn't mention that before, but our services are for free, and we offer a 3 day customer service training course that is blended. So they take online courses as well as instructor-led courses that are virtually online. So they get a chance in that workshop to hone their skills and focus on what they need to do on a day-to-day basis with these jobs. But
Okay.
then for example, with the IRS, they are trained just like any other employee on how to answer these calls, where to get the information, that there's a knowledge base available to them, that they have supervisors who are going to guide them through the process. And just like any job out there for anyone in the world, when you
Yeah.
first start, you always have those jitters, and you don't
Sure.
think that you could do it, and you're not sure about the culture that's out there for the company, because I mean you're working from home, but that's also an important point too. We set up a culture within the organization so that way people can connect with each other, and it
Okay. Good.
becomes more like a regular workplace.
Good.
um,
Good.
but they do get the training, they do get the resources, they don't have to be an encyclopedia of tax knowledge in order to do this.
Thank God. Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's good. So, um, what are some of the requirements to work at home, like computer, internet? What are
Yeah.
the basics that somebody would need
Yeah,
to
we
be
don't.
set up?
For us, we don't. It's basically BYOD, or bring your own device, in order to do this. And we have certain specifications in order to be successful with this. So
Mm-hmm.
we're looking for like Windows 8 and above, that they would be successful with, typically a desktop computer. But they don't need to go out and purchase anything. They just need to, if they have access to a computer, they are going to need that to go through training. But
Okay.
then after that, when they apply to a position, some of the companies, they end up giving them a computer. Other companies, they use their own device and they log into the system.
Okay.
They would probably have to have a landline that they would get compensated for, and also um, high speed internet access. So it could be like cable access or DSL, things like that, that they would be able to leverage with that. So they wouldn't be able to, use a dongle or their Wi Fi system. They would have to
Right. Right.
come
Right.
in off the router.
Right.
Yeah.
So cell phones, tablets with a wireless connection is not going to work.
No.
Not going to be robust enough. Makes sense. Um, so you need a computer, ideally with wired internet, high-speed access. Pretty
Mhm.
recent computer. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, those are. I mean, that's pretty common out there. So that opens it up to a lot of people. Fantastic. So I just kind of want to go through a recap and tell me if there's any important parts that I missed. And then I want to share with some of the people how they can, get started, learn more about NTI at home.
Okay.
So somebody can come. They don't have to be on Social Security disability. They don't have to be necessarily have a ticket to work. They could come, start part-time, look to go full-time, stay part-time. There's different shifts that are available in time frames.
Mm-hmm.
Am I on it so far, Mike?
You're dead on. You're dead
Okay.
on with this.
Okay, and there is no charge at
Nothing.
all?
It's for free.
Simple. For free.
Yep.
Zero to get started. And when they come in and get started, am I correct in understanding there's some type of an assessment process where you can, help individuals determine what their skill set is and where they would be best suited? Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. So just to give a real quick synopsis on it, essentially a person, we want them to make a good assessment on their own, whether or not they're ready for this or if they want to participate in it.
Mm-hmm.
So we switched it around so that way they could watch a really quick video on the services that we offer. And if they are interested, they could go ahead and register. And once they register, they'll be invited to attend our retail call center training course, which involves some online classes up in front and some assessments. So the assessments, they would include calling up, leaving a message for NTI. And there's instructions for this that would be sent out in the email. And then other things involve a computer skills test, grammar test, things like that. So that way we could assess your ability. We also have an online university, so that way if they want to hone those skills, like their typing skills or anything like that, they can leverage that and come back again. A lot of people show an increase of 60% when they end up doing that.
60% increase in what, Mike?
Say typing skills, or they may increase their computer-based knowledge by another 20% out there. So that's a good thing. It's amazing how much you could do with one hand as well, because we tried out some different things. Because everybody's needs are different out there. There's not a one-size-fits-all. But after they end up going through the training, take the assessments, they end up going into our 3-day instructor-led training. And it's essentially the workshop that I mentioned before. And once they do, they successfully pass that, they're invited to apply to positions. They could start interviewing. I know of some people who have gone through that whole entire process in less than a week. Typically, it takes maybe about 2 weeks of time to go through everything and getting feedback and trying to schedule for the next level of training to applying to positions and getting one. So it's a pretty good turnaround on that, but we want to make sure that we set up the training in our process because we wanted to ensure that people weren't thrown into the fire. And when we first started NTI, we would put people on positions. This was 25 years ago. And we would hope that they would do well. Now we wanted to set up an infrastructure so that way, they haven't worked for 5 years. It's a scary thing. And we want to be able to give them the resources so that way they could feel confident that they could do the job. And once they get on the job, they could be successful. So.
Right. I mean, you've checked a lot of the boxes. I mean, I've been in and around individuals with disabilities. I've worked with them and all that. What you're doing, I think, is fantastic. So just a few more questions before we wrap up.
Sure.
If somebody comes in and gets started, they go through the assessment and the testing. Let's call that 2 weeks, right? They could be up and working and making money in how long, Mike?
Essentially, they could start working, and then once they get their first paycheck. The first paycheck would probably come within a 3 week period, 3 week or
Okay.
4 week period. Yeah.
So are they paid weekly or
No, they're paid biweekly on this.
biweekly?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. That's awesome. Well, good.
Yeah.
Listen, what I want to do now is I want to tell our audience out there in the Disability Digest world how they can learn more about you. And I'm not sure where this media piece is going to show up,
Okay.
but below it is where, or somewhere around it, there will be contact information to NTI at Home. There'll be a website. There is a phone number that they
Hmm.
can call. I have an 877-248-8912 that
That's
they can
correct.
call.
Yes.
And I'll put a Facebook link in here so you
Mhm.
can learn more, call in, get started, work part-time, get all the training you need to get started and supplement your income. Awesome. Awesome,
And
awesome,
also,
awesome.
I'm going to set up a special page for your listeners and your followers.
Okay.
So it's going to be disabilitydigest.ntiathome.org.
Okay.
So that way
Okay.
they could get something that's just customized for you guys.
Beautiful.
Sure.
Thank you.
No
Thank you.
problem. No problem.
Listen, my pleasure to have you out today. I know this is I'm so excited about this because there's just so many people that would benefit from even an extra $500-600 a month, and you guys are doing a great thing there. So
Hey, thank
thank
you.
you. I
Thanks.
appreciate it.